What up, y'all? It's a Robot Watcher, grab your binoculars, and I'm back with another eval. You know what it is. Today we going over Notre Dame, they in the natty. Xavier Watts, safety. Let's get into it. Let's not waste no time. Now, when talking about Xavier Watts, first thing you got to mention to me is how good of a trigger he has. Whenever he's playing top-down coverage, which most of the time you are at safety, but of course if they roll you down in strong safety, it's not as much, or a hook zone, something like that. But whenever he's playing top-down coverage, whenever he's man up on the tight end, he's able to see ball or see where the ball is going to go, and he's able to trigger down great. I think coming linear downhill, going straight, he has some great burst in speed, and you see it plenty of times. I mean, you see it with all the interception he gets, all the pass breakup he gets. When he's coming downhill, he's able to trigger quickly and burst out of his break up a pass, intercept a pass, turn it into a big play. He's a big play waiting to happen. That's the best part of his game. I mean, I want to say he has 13 interceptions in the past 2 years, 13, 14, something like that, and still has another game to play in this national championship. So watch out for him whenever they play the game. I don't even know when they play it, this week, next week. Whenever they play that game, he might be able to make a couple plays in that secondary. And, yeah, you'll see him. That big number 0, he's nice. Great trigger. Now, second thing you want to talk about, he has great route IQ or great IQ and route ID. You never see him, or you rarely see him getting faked out by trick plays. His eyes are always pretty disciplined to where he's supposed to be, whether it's in a reverse, whether it's in a double pass, but also even when it's in off coverage. Like I said, with that trigger he has, he knows the best part about him and other guys like Kyle Hamilton, they might not be running 4-3, 4-4, but because they know what the route is going to be, they're triggering before the receiver gets to his break, aka before the quarterback throws the ball. So once the quarterback throws the ball, they have such a shorter distance to cover. So that route ID and that IQ is something you want over top, because that's going to be a person who make plays on post, make plays on digs. Kind of how Jesse Bates picked off Bryce twice in his debut, because he was just able to jump the digs that was underneath, because he abandoned post that was going behind him, because he knew, hey, they're not going to throw that post. They don't have any deep threats. They're going to throw this underneath dig. He jumped it twice, got 2 interceptions. So great route ID and IQ. That's something you want to see in a deep safety, or in any safety period, any DB period, really. But that plus the great trigger, you see why he's easily able to make plays 24/7. Next thing I want to talk about, pretty good range. I don't want to say he has elite range, because I think there are guys with elite range, like Andre Cisco has elite range, Kyle Hamilton has elite range, but he has pretty good range. He's able to go from hash to sideline. I wouldn't say sideline to sideline, nothing like that, but hash to sideline, something like that. I wouldn't say numbers to sideline either, but he has pretty good range from what I've seen. He's able to make plays on plays that are kind of far apart from where he originally started on the play, and he's not able to pick it off all the time. Sometimes he gets there right after the ball does, and he's just able to make a play or make a hit to try and draw it loose, which is why I say he has great or good range, not necessarily elite. But that's what you want in the deep safety. You want them to have good range. That trigger plus the route ID plus the range. Once again, you see why it's all folded into him having 7 interceptions last year and then 6 interceptions this year. But also, I want to say 12 pass deflections. So, yeah, really good, maybe great range from Xavier Watts. Next thing I want to talk about, I think he's a good tight end eraser. If you want to move him around in the secondary, you can. I wouldn't necessarily move him too much. I don't think he's one like a Kyle Hamilton guy or Derwin James or even Javon Holland, where they can go and play nickel 24/7 if you, or most of the snaps during the game if you need them to, man up on a slot receiver, and you're like, hey, he's able to take Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the game. I don't think he's that guy, but if you want to man him up on the tight end, have him as the primary defender against the tight end, I think he's really good to that. He's 203. He's 6 foot. He has pretty long arms. He has good linear speed, like I said. Good trigger. He's able to undercut tight ends 24/7 because he's able to wait for them to get to their break and then trigger underneath it to make pass breakups, to make interceptions. So I think he'll be a pretty good tight end kind of primary defender if you want him to be that at the next level. So that's just another role that you can put him in. So say we're in the NFC South. maybe this is not a good example, actually. Let's say we in whatever, the NFC North. I think that's where the Vikings are. And you're like, hey, we played TJ Hawkinson this week, but we also got to worry about Jefferson's and Jettas. You don't want TJ Hawkinson to beat you because he can. So, all right, we're just going to put Xavier Watts on him, put our best corner on Jettas, and then just, bracket Jettas, and then just hope for the best against Jordan Addison. I think you could do that with him. Put him on Kyle Pitts or something. Something like that. I think he'll be able to be pretty good in that role. But last thing, he's just simply a ball magnet. No matter what it is, we talked about it where his trigger, he's able to trigger down and make plays on the ball. He's able to ID routes and make plays on the ball. But even outside of that, you don't get 7 interceptions, 6 interceptions by just being lucky. And that's sometimes what it is. He's just in the right place at the right time 24/7 though. Like when it happens once or twice, all right, you just brush it off. But when it's on tape that he's consistently in the right place at the right time, it's like, okay, maybe he's just a magnet to the ball. Maybe he just knows how to find the ball. Whether it's on interceptions that he's returning for touchdowns that are being bounced off the receiver's chest or deflected in the air from the DB knocking it down, or the quarterback is overthrowing the tight end or whoever it is up the scene and he's the deep safety, or whether it's guys knocking the fumble out, he's just right there to recover it and run it back for a touchdown. He just seems to find his way around the ball 24/7. And that's something that the Panthers specifically need bad. We need somebody that's going to create turnovers. We need somebody that's going to make plays on the ball. We got J.C. Horn, really good lockdown corner, but nobody throws at him. So when you throw it to other people, you need them to be able to make plays. And that's what Xavier Watts is. He's simply a playmaker at safety. So ball magnet, great route IQ or route ID, great trigger, good tight end eraser, man up against tight ends, great range on the backside, pretty good safety. But let's get into stuff that's not necessarily his game. Now, for the stuff that's not necessarily Xavier Watts' game, it's 2 really big things that I think limit him and kind of drop my grade. I thought I'd be much higher on him based off what other people were saying and the clips I seen. When I cut on the All-22, I only watched 1 game from this year and watched 3 from last year, or maybe 2 games from this year and then 3 from last year. So this could have improved this year, but I didn't see it that much. Well, actually, he was pretty good at this, but as I continue to watch his tape, I had to put this down. I think he needs to improve his consistency as a tackler, especially in the open field. I think in the first couple of games I watched, this year I watched Texas A&M and Clemson. No, not Clemson. It was another game, USC. I thought, okay, he's pretty good at making tackles. He's able to get guys down. He's not necessarily a violent tackler where he's coming down with ill intentions, but he has good sound fundamentals. He's not afraid to come down and help him to run. He's not afraid to come down and make a play on a swing route, screen route, something like that. And he's getting the tackles down. Then I watched Clemson game. Then I watched the Ohio State game. And dog, he was just looking terrible. He was trying to ankle bite. He was not wrapping up all the way. He was late, taking bad angles in the open field. He gave up a huge touchdown in Ohio State on a huge run to Travion Henderson, where it looked like he just took a bad angle and then tried to ankle bite tackle, and it just didn't work. Philip Maffa was just running through his arm tackles 24/7 when I watched Clemson. So he needs to improve overall his consistency as a tackler. I would also like to see him improve his aggressiveness or tenacity when he's coming downhill. He has such a great trigger, great speed coming downhill, and he has the size. I would expect him to come and lay some punishment, but that's not necessarily what I've seen on this tape, so outside of maybe 1 play. So overall, just improve your consistency as a tackler, especially in the open field. Next thing I want to talk about, his lateral movement and coverage. This is why I say if you want to man him up against the tight end, and he's not going to be like that Derwin James, Malachi Starks, Javon Holland, where you're consistently just putting him in the slot, telling him to go lock up a wide receiver in the slot, something like that. He's not that. I don't think his lateral quickness is that good. When I watched him, he was consistently getting beat by quicker receivers, moving laterally. If he's moving back north-south, we're good. He can carry a receiver deep. He can carry a receiver on a post. He can guard a comeback route. Whenever they're running a dig, whenever they're running a whip route, whenever they're running a pivot, slant, something like that, he hasn't shown the ability to move in one direction, quickly trigger, and get under the wide receivers that have the same speed as him as he does with tight ends. It's really that simple. You don't want him on wide receivers consistently, maybe a play or two, but he just got consistently beat on crossers. Like I said, those pivot routes, things where he has to move east and west, it wasn't looking the best. So I think that does drop his grade as far as versatility in coverage with the safeties that we have in this class. There's much more versatile guys that you can use, whether it's a deep safety or closer to the line of scrimmage, getting their hands on the ball, closer to the ball. Simple as that. So let's get into his player build. Now, the next guy, for his player build, basically we want to have a playmaking coverage safety. This is a guy that you simply want playing over top. Want him seeing the concept that's in front of him, being able to identify what it is, and just go make a play on it. Maybe you can move him to man up on tight ends here and there, but you don't necessarily want him to be this nickel player. You want him over top, seeing what's in front of him so he can go trigger. Now, first shades of I have is Andre Cisco. I think both of these guys are the same. I think Andre Cisco has more range than him. I think he has close to elite range. I think he's a better east and west mover, so you can play him in the nickel if you need him to. But overall, he's one of the better or the best deep safeties in the entire league before this year. He had a pretty down year because everybody in Jacksonville did. But before this year, he was one of the best deep safeties in the league. He had like 4 or 5 picks last year. Basically exactly what Xavier Watts is, but turned up with the athleticism a little more. Now, next guy, I think it's Reed Blankenship. I think Reed Blankenship kind of has that same knack for in the right place at the right time, but he's developed into being much better than just doing that. He's able to trigger down on plays. He's able to guard a little bit in man, not necessarily 24/7, but a little bit in man. He's just a good single high safety for the defense that is very similar to Ejiro Evero's. That top down, bend, don't break, keep everything in front of you, make a play on it if you can, or just make a tackle defense that Vic Fangio has. That's what his Evero's scheme come from. So Reed Blankenship, easily clonable role into the exact defense that we have. And then you have Malik Hooker. To me, I think he has improved much better as a run defender, but early in his career, much better in coverage. Just a ball player. I remember he was getting crazy picks, like this one-hand interception in the red zone when he was on the Colts, things like that. Before he tore his Achilles and had all those injuries, he was a much more juiced up player in coverage, but still a really good, I think, floor to have for Xavier Watts. I don't think you'll necessarily get a terrible player regardless. I think you'll have a decent floor with that Malik Hooker type of player. So that's all I got for y'all. I think Xavier Watts is probably going to be I could see him going high second, but I would like him best from mid-second to early third. Be a really good playmaker. The reason I say that is because, I mean, somebody like Andre Cisco went early third or in the middle of the third. So I don't see him in the first round because of those limited capabilities going east to west and that consistency tackling. But I think he could be a really, really good player regardless of where you drafted him. Dan and Dave said they wanted immediate playmakers, guys that can make a difference. This is a difference maker to me. So if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Let me know what you think of Xavier Watts. Turn on the post notifications so you never miss a video. I'll be back sometime later this week, and I'll see y'all at the Senior Bowl for some live coverage. And don't forget, I am starting a Patreon, so if you want to see some of these SEC guys, Malachi Starks, Priestley Uimalau, I think that's how you say his name, Walton Nolan, guys like that, you're going to have to sub to the Patreon. It's only like $2-3. I'll have it up sometime this week or next week, but I'm out.